Hey everyone, I'm back with a new review, brand new bottle. Never tried anything from this line. This is the Redemption Wheated Bourbon. I have not tried anything from the Redemption line. In the quick research I did do on Redemption as a line of products, it looks like they specialize in what they call pre-prohibition whiskeys, which basically means rye whiskeys or high rye bourbons. So this is kind of a specialty line, which is weeded completely separate. But that seems to be what they specialize in. They're in Indiana. It's bottled by Bardstown Barrel Selections, and this is a 96 proof batch number 5. I don't know what the only other reviews I've heard about on TikTok from others were from batch 5. But this is interesting. The mash bill, this is a wheated bourbon. I would call it a high, same thing they have a high rye bourbon. This is a high, very high wheated bourbon. It's 51% corn, so this just makes it a bourbon. It's 51% corn, 45% winter wheat, and 4% malted barley. So just a couple things to note. Again, 51% is the minimum to make a bourbon a bourbon. So a little bit of difference. This actually could be a wheat whiskey. Basically, if it's 51% wheat, this wouldn't be bourbon. This would be a wheat whiskey. And you're basically only 6 percentage points less, than that. So it's barely a bourbon. It's almost a wheated whiskey. So it's kind of an interesting combination. And the other thing is, as someone who likes Makers, this is 45% winter wheat. I know Maker's Mark uses winter wheat, not just regular wheat, winter wheat, or maybe that's red winter wheat. I'm not sure if there's a difference, but this would be probably the highest wheated bourbon that I've tried, because Maker's is probably lower than Larceny, and I think Larceny is higher than that, and then Weller. So those are the three big ones I know. The Makers, the Larceny. I know there's others. The ones that I've tried were the Makers, the Larceny, and the Weller. And obviously, I like the Makers. I think I like the Larceny the least. And Weller, I only had the one time, which is a special reserve. So this is going to be a totally different type of a wheated bourbon. So we're going to pour it up, and we're going to see what we got. Okay, we have it all poured up. I have my glass right here. Before I pick up my glass, just one interesting thing, actually two interesting things. First of all, much respect for this cork. That was a really good cork pop. And this is actually a pretty thick cork. Even when I was just shoving it back in here, it actually really seals the whiskey. So much kudos, much respect to the cork and the cork pop. The other thing is, it's just interesting. If you look at this bottle, what shape of this bottle does this remind you of? Well, it reminds me of Bulleit Bourbon a whole lot. If I was doing just a blind feel of this bottle, I would feel this just very much as like the Bulleit Bourbon, which I think is a cool bottle. I'm not the biggest fan of Bulleit Bourbon, although actually I did have it in a cocktail over the weekend at a restaurant, and it was good. But in any event, let's get into this. So it's all poured up here. I'd say it's kind of like a medium color. I don't think it's too dark. Don't think it's too light. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Let's give this a nose. It's very, very sweet. I can definitely tell some sweetness on that. Almost floral. Maybe some pear. It's definitely sweet. So I'm looking forward to tasting this. Let's give this a taste. Cheers. That is very sweet. That is very sweet. It definitely is. I know it's a couple of interesting things that I just picked up on this. And this is a wheated bourbon, and a high wheated bourbon. So there's definitely going to be a lot of sweetness, a lot of mellowness. But it's funny, there's actually a spice to it, but it's not a rye spice. And there is a spice to it. I always think of spice with rye. There's no rye in this. There is a spice, but it's a different type of a spice. Let me try this again. That's interesting. Not a rye spice. I didn't really know there is a wheat spice, but there is something in terms of a spice on the tongue. Interesting. Now I know some of the tasting notes that I read before this. In terms of what to find this. They say there's some roasted coffee beans, hazelnut. Trying to pick that up. I detect a little bit. I do detect the spice on the palate. Let me just try the finish on this again once more. It definitely is even on the finish, there's a dough, a baked bread, or something of that nature. This is very interesting. I've not tasted anything like this. It definitely is very nicely. It goes down nice. Again, this is 96 proof. I think it drinks at least that. If I was blinding this, I would probably say this is at least 100 proof, or more. It definitely tastes at least that. But the bottom line, pretty much with this is the following. In terms of wheat, I still think. I mean, Makers is it's going to be hard. It's not the regular Makers I like. It's the Makers 46 regular, Makers 46 cast strength, and all this, all the full cast strength and the special releases. I just love their products. So I mean, that's always gonna, unless something proves otherwise, it's always gonna be my go-to as far as my favorite wheated bourbon. Larceny, no. Weller, I only had the special reserve, and I can only find it one time. I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was worth the price. So this is maybe like a $48 product in New Jersey. I noticed the other Redemption bourbons are lower priced. This one is I think it was around $48. So it's I think it's much easier to find than certainly than Weller, no doubt about it. I mean, so if you're looking for a Weller and you can't find it, it's not. I don't think it's at the level of certainly the other. I haven't tried a lot of the Wellers, but I don't think it's that. But this is a really good drinking bourbon. If you like a wheated bourbon and a high wheated bourbon, I'm going to get more into this and let it open up a little bit. But from what I can tell so far, this is actually quite good. So thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.